Yeah, let's get to that. Former Fox News host Pete Hegseth's attorney confirmed to NBC News that Hegseth, President-elect Trump's nominee for Defense Secretary, paid a woman an undisclosed amount after she accused him of sexual assault. The lawyer also denied the encounter between Hegseth and an unnamed woman, which she alleges happened in 2017, was sexual assault. That statement comes after the Washington Post reported a friend of Hegseth's accuser sent a 4-page memo to the Trump transition team detailing the allegations. NBC News has not independently reviewed that memo, but Hegseth's attorney confirmed it is related to an encounter Hegseth and the unnamed woman had in Monterey, California during a conference in 2017. The Post reported the memo said the woman was at the conference and she was there with her husband and her children and didn't remember anything until she was in Hegseth's hotel room and then stumbling to find her own hotel room on the night in question. Hegseth's attorney denied the allegations, saying this is a situation where a consensual encounter occurred. And unfortunately, the woman had to come up with a lie to explain why the woman had not come back to her husband's room that night, adding that it was fully investigated by police and video surveillance as well as multiple eyewitness statements show that she was the aggressor. Authorities in Monterey investigated the allegation in 2017 and did not file charges against Hegseth. Joining us now, congressional investigations reporter for the Washington Post, Jackie Alamany. She's part of the reporting team out with a new piece entitled Trump Won. The celebration started and then the trouble began. Jackie, tell us more about what is happening in reaction to these nominations.
Yeah, Mika, I would say that the reaction so far by some of the more professionalized staff around Donald Trump has not necessarily been positive, though those close to him don't really see him, at least in this moment right now, pulling back or withdrawing some of these more controversial nominees, although it seems like you gleaned some new information from your conversation with Trump over the weekend. But I think what we're seeing here in terms of the broader trend is lessons that Trump learned in 2016 and things he's now trying to avoid repeating, such as picking appointments, people who are Trump loyalists and willing to execute some of these more expansive and unorthodox and controversial plans that he has for institutions that he's essentially trying to blow up. People like Gates, Hegseth, and Gabbard, people who have not been well received by some of the people who are close to Trump who have advised him otherwise, but say that the decision-making process has been pretty chaotic and dysfunctional. As one Trump advisor put to us, there really is no decision-making process. And that at the end of the day, Trump is sort of throwing out names, and whichever one sort of sticks the most, he lands on. Although another Trump advisor told us that if you had been paying any attention to him throughout the primary and throughout the campaign, these are names that he has consistently gravitated towards, that Gates and Hegseth and Gabbard, they've always been in the mix. They've been people who have been really close to him, giving him advice, people that he trusts to actually execute his agenda, and that, yes, they seem like shocking picks, but to those who have actually been listening to Trump, people outside, again, of this professionalized staff of the transition team who have put together all of these lists and tried to vet people themselves, might not be familiar with themselves.
So, Jackie, good morning. The president-elect is like rolling through with remarkable speed these nominations, but there are a few big posts still vacant, and none bigger than Secretary of the Treasury, which is something that Trump cares deeply about. You've got reporting about some of the disputes behind the scenes, the role Elon Musk is trying to play. Give us the latest on this important post.
Yeah, this has turned into a remarkable internal knife fight between some of the nominees and people under consideration right now by Trump, with the two main contenders, Howard Lutnick, the head of Trump's transition, and a Cantor Fitzgerald executive and his allies, sort of scraping with Scott Bessent and some of his allies. Another hedge fund executive who has been under consideration and visited Mar-a-Lago on Friday for an interview with the president. Lutnick's allies have been claiming that Bessent is not pro-tariff enough and doesn't take Trump's plans that he's laid out throughout the campaign seriously and is going to execute them and is more concerned sort of with the stability of the markets, while Lutnick has been presenting himself as a change maker. Lutnick and Trump obviously have been spending lots of time together. Lutnick has barely left his side throughout the transition process, but that approach has started to grate on some of his allies who think that he's been acting in sort of self-serving ways, a distraction from his job at hand, which is to help with the transition process and some of these major appointments. Another wild card factor that we have to think about here is Elon Musk, the other person who has been by Trump's side nonstop, who took a pretty remarkable turn over the weekend and weighed in on the Treasury appointment before Trump has really made his decision, which is sort of a little bit of a switch in the lack of deference, I think, that we've seen Musk play to Trump. We had a number of people, my colleague Jeff Stein and I, call us over the weekend to sort of opine on the role that essentially this co-president, as someone said to us, has taken when it comes to decision-making processes, especially when it comes to something like the Treasury, which is going to be extremely important component of Trump's administration and determine, the economic path forward here.
All right, the Washington Post. Jackie Alamany, thank you so much for reporting. Fascinating, especially on the Treasury Secretary pick and what's happening right there. Jonathan Lemire, you've covered Donald Trump. We've covered him through the years. People keep talking about Elon Musk as a co-president. I don't know that that's helping Elon Musk's standing. And also, I was very surprised that he tweeted out basically weighing in publicly on X who he supported for Treasury Secretary, and also on the issue of tariffs, which was sort of the centerpiece of Donald Trump's economic agenda and his economic campaign, basically agreeing that he thought tariffs were not good for economies worldwide. I don't know if that ends well for Elon Musk or anybody that's doing that publicly.
There is only room for one star in Donald Trump's sky, and it has to be Donald Trump. We know this is a man who would fire advisors if they got on a magazine cover. He does not like sharing the spotlight with anyone. And he has, in recent days, he's couched them as jokes, but he's flashed some irritation that Elon Musk is always around. He said that a couple of times now down at Mar-a-Lago, won't leave. And I've talked to some people in the Trump orbit the last couple of days who say, yeah, that's real. That Trump is certainly flattered that the world's richest man seems to like him so much. We know that Trump is impressed by wealth. He likes to hang out with people even richer than he. And Musk certainly qualifies for that. But at a certain point, Musk, as one Trump advisor was telling me, Musk didn't win a single vote. Donald Trump did. And Musk is going to have to restrain himself, this person said to me, if he wants to stay in Trump's orbit. Otherwise, odds are there'll be, if past his prologue, a rapid falling out in the weeks or months ahead.
What do they say about visitors? Like, after 3 days, they're like fish. They start to smell. I mean, he won't leave.
Come on.
He won't leave. I'm not saying that about Elon. It's just an old saying that people say about visitors that come to your house. Okay. I would never say that because I love visitors. Well, no, I don't.
Oh, right.
Anyway, John Meacham, though. You don't have to be a Pulitzer Prize winning historian to remember that, again, people stepping on the president and telling him who to select on Twitter may not be the best path forward. So you can speak to that, or just speak generally about what you're looking at this week and what you're concerned about and what we should be looking at.
I think the big question both this week and then one that's going to be incredibly important over the next 48 months is to what extent the Senate is going to stand as a guardrail and a defender of their constitutional prerogatives. Because when people talk about, oh, the institutions will stop the worst impulses of the once and future president, I think we should be more precise about that. It's not the institutions, it's the people who embody the institutions, right? It's not the courts, it's judges. It's not the Senate, its senators. You know, and so I think that the more we are in a moment arguably as important as any in the history of the Republic, where the individual character of everyone in this whole arena matters enormously. The president's character and his impulses matter. The people around him and their impulses matter. The broad citizenry and our impulses of character matter.
Yep.
And the people who have electoral incentives, and that's United States senators. You know, if you want to know where somebody's going to stand at this point, show us their primary electorate, and I can probably give you a pretty good guess, right? What are we going to do to preserve a constitutional order that has served us very, very well, and that the incoming president has shown a great deal of contempt for? And nothing, that's just where we are. And so no one's being Panglossian, no one's being Pollyannish, no one's saying, oh, Trump grew in the past couple of days. If anything, these appointments show that the worst impulses are very much at the surface and breaking through. And so our character is on trial.
Yeah. And of course, Mika, that's what we said coming into this. We cannot be Panglossian.
I know,
John
I was
Meacham
thinking the
giving
same
me
thing.
another reason to go to the dictionary afterwards to figure out exactly what he's saying. And John, let me say thank you in advance for not bringing up the French-Indian War on this.
I was just about to put on my Pangloss, but anyhow.